Welcome to another edition of the Yellow Jacket Experience. This is a very special edition. We've gotten a man who has been living in semi-seclusion in northern Quebec ever since the unfortunate Denny Pratt tragedy. It is Andre Poodle Lucier, or as he really is known, Mark Bousquet, the AIC hockey alum who is going into our Hall of Fame. We'll talk a little bit about Slapshot later, but Mark, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Seth. I just want to interject one thing. Like everybody else, the last name is pronounced Bousquet.
Bousquet, perfect. Well, we will
Bousquet.
Bousquet. We will make sure to get that right going forward. So let's start from the beginning with a young Mark Bousquet. You're a Springfield guy, classical high. You played baseball, you played hockey at classical. What do you remember most from playing your high school sports and the experience that you got there?
Well, the biggest thing I can tell you from sports in general, whether it be high school, college, or pros, it's the camaraderie with the other players. I think if you talk to anybody that's an athlete that's on a team sport, they're going to tell you when they're done playing, the thing they miss the most is the camaraderie, the joking around in the locker room, the pranks you play on each other, the road trips that you experience throughout your course of your career. But I was always pretty fortunate to play with good fellow athletes, whether it was at classical high school, AIC, and the pros, and that really makes for a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's nothing like being part of a team. It's certainly something that I've enjoyed in my career as well. At what point did AIC first contact you? What was that like? What made you decide that AIC was the place to go to play your college sports and your education?
I had played with a bunch of guys that were older than me as I was in high school, called the Holyoke Blades. There were a bunch of guys that were alumni from AIC, guys, French Canadians that resided in Holyoke. So they kind of had the word out there that, hey, you should be taking a look at this kid. And Bill Turner was the coach at the time. And he's the one that approached me along with Wally Barlow to attend AIC on a scholarship.
Bill Turner and Wally Barlow are two names that are legendary among AIC hockey. What was it like playing for them as a college athlete?
Well, unfortunately, because of the rules not allowing the freshmen to play varsity, I never got a chance to play for Bill. I played for Joe McCusker, who came out of Pittsfield as a freshman coach. And Wally, God knows we knew Wally from the Springfield Indians. And actually, Wally was the one, I had actually got a shoulder separation playing up in Deerfield with classical high school. And everybody was telling me, the doctors, that need to get pins, need an operation, yada, yada, yada. And my dad said, you know what? I'm going to go down to Wally and talk to Wally at AIC and see what he says. So we went down to Wally, and Wally said, I'll take care of it. We'll tape it up. We'll get you a brace to play. And he says, everything will be fine. You won't need an operation. And lo and behold, everything healed up nicely. And I was at AIC with Wally as my head coach my sophomore year.
And you had some fantastic, you talked about your teammates. Who were some of the people when you were playing at AIC that you remember the most, people that you're still friends with to this day?
Well, one of the ones that made a big impression on me was David Forbes. Forbes was quite a character. Forbes played hockey as well as baseball, so I got to know him on both levels. He was a couple of years ahead of me, but he was always a guy that I looked up to how he handled himself. He was a tough guy. He didn't take any crap from anybody, but that's cool. Baseball, Chris Serino was a standout shortstop for the AIC baseball team. And other than that, one of the biggest things that I always remember playing baseball there was I was coached by Art Ditmar, who was a professional pitcher with the New York Yankees. And Art always said, as long as you have my back, I'll always have your back. I never ever forgot that. And he was always the guy that would give us little insights to how to be a professional player and carry yourself as so. And he gave us some pretty interesting stories about Mickey Mantle too, because he was his roommate on the road. And
Oh boy.
some of the stories that I can't tell you on screen.
That was going to be my next question. Are any of them below PG-13? Because
Yeah.
you know that back in the day there was some wild stuff going on.
Yeah,
Well-
there certainly was, especially Mickey Mantle. He said some days he came home with some young ladies of the evening, and I just had to close my eyes and close my ears and
Oh boy.
try to just go to sleep. But Art Demar was a great guy as far as a baseball coach too. He was a real players coach, along with Wally.
And it wasn't at all intimidating to be coached by a guy who had a World Series ring. It was a guy who fit in with what you guys were doing.
He actually did. I mean, he was in it for the players. He was in it to have fun, but yet fun was only so far, and then you draw the line, and then it's business and it's baseball, and everybody kind of knew where you stood with Art. And he was the kind of guy that said, okay, you wear your jersey like this, the top button is always unbuttoned, every other one's buttoned. He always used to get us the new white spot built. That was the brand name of the cleat that we wore back then. They had no Nike, they had no Reebok back then. But the cleat that the Yankees wore was spot built. He had our gold jerseys, just like the jersey you're wearing right now. Those were the jerseys we wore, kind of like the Oakland A's. Pretty classy, Some guys didn't like them, but I thought they were pretty cool. And he always made sure the baseball diamond was in good shape. And Wally, on the other hand, was the same way. He was a professional. One of the things I can tell you about Wally is I was a young guy on his team. I got cut over the eye from a stick one game, and I came to the bench, and he said, "You big baby," with the accent he had. "Sit down the end of the bench. I'll be right with you." So a couple seconds goes by. Wally comes down the end of the bench. He goes, "All right, lay back." Had his little fish hook, stitched me right up 8 stitches. Never missed a shift. He said, "Now get back out there. Now get back out there and play hockey." But yeah, that's how he was. He was, again, a professional. He was around professionals all his life with hockey. He was in the military. So the kind of guy you respected, both of them, which made playing at AIC a lot of fun.
And it was probably a lot of fun because you were pretty darn good at it too. You look at your hockey career and 3-time first team all conference defenseman. What allowed you to have that individual success at such a high level? We've only had 2 defensemen who have been first team all conference 3 times, and the other one, Brendan Kabchek, was an All-American who's currently playing professional hockey right now.
It's a funny story when you think back on my AIC days and when I was younger. Then you didn't think about individual awards. You just didn't. You just thought about the team. What can I do tonight to make the team a better team? I remember one story where the coach from Bowdoin was recruiting me, and I went up to Bowdoin to have a weekend up there, and really got turned off by it. It just felt like it was a mill factory, run the guys in and run them out. So when they came down to play us at our rink, I made sure I had one of my best games. But we had a tough schedule back then, even though we were a Division II club. Played a lot of Division I teams, and we really held our own on a lot of them. One of my biggest experiences when we went up to play RPI at their building, and I'll never forget this. Naturally, we come out on the ice, and then they come on the ice, and all of a sudden they have a big, huge band at the end of the arena, and the band starts playing, and these guys are skating around like there's no tomorrow, and I'm just sitting there saying, "Okay, this is Division I hockey right here with RPI," and it got a little crazy during the game too, because we had some crazy guys on our club, and we didn't mind messing it up every once in a while. And it's a first experience, and I said, "Well, I think we actually lost the game, but here nor there. That was my experience playing at RPI that first time. So.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule and the teams you played, it's not as though you shied away from anybody. You see Boston College on there as one of the opponents, and you had a hat trick against them, actually.
Yeah,
So
we had Northeastern on there. We played in the Yale tournament. Well, we got our asses handed to us there, but that's okay. It actually turns out too. It's funny because during my course in playing professionally, I ended up playing with two guys that were on my team that actually played on that same Yale team that I played against.
no kidding.
Donnie Craig and Dean Boylan, which is we talk about those days, and we had that tournament up there. But it's funny, in any kind of sport. I tell my grandkids the same thing. You're going to meet a lot of nice people. They're going to open up a lot of doors for you. You might not see it for 10, 15 years. And then when you run into them again, it's going to be like you never skipped a beat. And that's the nicety of playing sports. It does open a lot of doors and make lasting relationships for you.
It's certainly true. It's something everybody so far that we've interviewed has said the exact same thing. Now, you are a very good offensive defenseman, and there's another pretty good offensive defenseman not too far from AIC, a guy by the name of Bobby Orr, playing about the same time you did, who was also pretty good at the offensive side for a defenseman.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He was okay. How much of an influence on your game was that, knowing that you were in high school and in college when he was starting out, when he was really at the height of his prowess, leading the Bruins to the Stanley Cup twice, scoring, 150 points or whatever it was?
Well, I think he was probably one of the superstars of the time. And a lot of kids, as well as myself, always looked up to a guy like that because he carried himself with such grace and poise, along with umpteen bunch of talent. And the other guy on that team, which was a flair for the kids in the area, was Derek Sanderson. Derek Sanderson had the long hair flowing in the mustache. A lot of guys took after him as well. But the Bruins were a team back then where a lot of times you couldn't get their games on TV. So we never got a chance to really watch them a lot, except reading the paper about them. But Bobby Orr was a true pro in every sense of the word.
You captained both the AIC hockey and the AIC baseball teams. What did it mean to you to have that honor of being the captain of not just one, but two different teams?
Pretty special, that's for sure. And again, it's not something you really try to be. At least I didn't. It wasn't like, well, I'm going in here and I want to be the captain. It's just doing your job, presenting yourself in a way that others look up to. That's one of the keys. I think you have to carry yourself with a lot of dignity and show that you care for everybody on the team, not just yourself, which a lot of guys do. A lot of guys just think it's all about me. I really never thought about that. I never really thought about just me. It was always a team first attitude, and being a captain on both teams was very special and quite an honor.
At what point did you realize, hey, maybe I could make something out of this game of hockey, make it a professional career? Like when did it hit you that was something that was a realistic possibility?
My junior year is when I thought, you know what, I want to take a crack at going pro. And I talked to Wally about it. Wally had connections, naturally being in the game for such a long time. There was a gentleman in the area who was a scout for the Philadelphia Flyers, Walter Tanis. So he kept in touch with Walter Tanis for me during the course of the year. He would come down and scout and watch some games for me. And then during my senior season after graduation, Walter came to the house with a contract for the Flyers. And that's when I knew I was on my way.
Now you ended up playing in Philadelphia, not for the Flyers, but for the Firebird, the team on the jersey directly behind you. What
Right.
was that experience like playing in the NAHL and like playing professional hockey?
Well, playing in Philadelphia, a lot of times when you're playing in the minors, you're playing in smaller towns, not such great arenas. But playing in Philadelphia, the Flyers naturally played at the Spectrum. We played at the Philadelphia Civic Center, Conventional Center, which was a great place to play, great rink. Um, and we had a lot of brothers from the Flyers that were on our club, Barber, Schultz, McLeish. So their brothers would always come down and watch us. So we got to know the Flyers pretty well. And I'll tell you, I know a lot of the Boston people don't like the Philadelphia fans, but I'll tell you, they were great to us. And if you're a winner in Philadelphia, it doesn't matter what sport team you're on, they will support you and follow you. And they were just the best. I remember the night we won the Lockhart Cup championship there against the Bousquet. Place was packed. It was over 10,000 people in the arena, standing room only. It was going crazy. And after the game, when we won it, we're hoisting the trophy. The ice was flooded with people. They had a parade for us in Philadelphia. So I can't say enough good things about the fans of Philadelphia. We're a minor league team playing in a major league town. And that's the way we looked at it.
There's all kinds of stories about pro hockey, especially in the minor leagues and in the 70s, that it was the Wild West, brawls in the stands, crazy stuff. How much of that is real? How much of that is made up? And maybe can you give us an example of one of the more crazy things that you were involved in on the ice as a pro hockey player back then?
Well, people will tell you they don't like the violence. They don't like fighting. Well, watch a game and see somebody get into a fight. You can count on your hand how many people are still in their seat, not up cheering and screaming when they see a fight go on. People like that kind of stuff. Nobody wants to see anybody get seriously hurt. And I can honestly say I haven't really seen in my playing time too many guys get really hurt by a fist. I've seen a lot of guys get really hit by guys that stick and use their stick in a bad way, like a weapon. I don't go along with that. But sometimes you got to step in here and you just got to step up and cover your man's back if somebody's taking advantage of them, like a bully at the schoolyard. And one thing about Philadelphia, whether it be the Flyers or whether it was the Firebirds, it was all for one and one for all. We stuck together. Nobody likes coming into our building and play hockey. And the Bousquet, when we knocked them out for the Lockhart Cup, they had one of the tougher teams in the league, just like we did. And we went toe to toe with them every time we played them. And that, it's funny, after the game, sometimes you go out and have a beer with the guy that you just fought. But when you got back on the ice, it was business as usual. And the stuff that went on in the movie Slapshot was pretty accurate, believe it or not. It was pretty accurate. They had a private showing for us in Philadelphia when that came out. And we all went to it, all the players and wives and girlfriends. And on our way out of the movie theater, you could hear rumblings of people saying, "Oh, that's not hockey, they're making us look like goons and idiots." And I just turned around and I said, "It's just a spiff. They're making a joke out of it a little bit. And let's face facts. Some of that stuff happened. I mean, there'd be nights, sometimes we'd be on the road. I can remember one night, one of our guys, I won't mention name, but one of our guys took the bus. We went to the package store, bought some booze, picked up some ladies, and we're coming back to the hotel. Didn't happen to read the sign up top on the bridge, clearance XYZ. Well, top of the bus, bang!
Oh no!
Hit the top of the bridge. So we're stuck underneath there. So one of the guys said, "Hey, I've seen this happen before. Let the air out of the tire so it's really low and lower the bus." And sure as heck, it worked, and we were able to get the bus out from underneath the overpass. But it knocked the 2 feet of the roof right back, right back. So that kind of stuff went on. Other stuff went on too that was, again, XXX rated. So we can't go there. But
Oh boy,
we had some crazy memories. We had a reunion, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, in in Arizona. And a lot of us got together and never missed a beat. Some of the old stories, now after you tell a story once, you tell it twice, you tell it 3 times, you know what happens. It just gets elaborated and it blows it to more than what it really was. But everybody had stories, and you get together and you have these stories, and it's just fun to reminisce.
Oh, it's gotta be. So you bring up Slapshot. We can't not talk about it. You got the poodle jersey behind you.
Right.
First of all, how did you even get involved in that? How did you end up in a movie with Paul Newman?
Well, it turns out the lady that wrote the movie, her brother, Ned Dowd, played at Bowdoin College when I was at AIC. So playing against him, naturally, got to know him a little bit. We weren't best of friends by any means, but got to know him. Nancy Dowd followed his team, the Johnstown Jets, for 1 full year, took notes, took pictures, got all the information she could gather to put this whole script together. And one day I was at the pool at our apartment complex, because during the summers, I stayed in Philadelphia a lot of times. I didn't come back home. I stayed there. They had us doing all kinds of promotions and this and that and the other thing. So I stayed there. So we're at the pool, me and my 2 roommates. Well, one of my other roommates, the other roommate was at the house. One roommate comes down, he goes, "Hey, Bousquet," he says, "the office just called the house and they want you to give them a call, something about a movie with Paul Newman." Well, we all prank each other. And the pool was, not right around the corner. So I said, "Well, I'm not going back to the house." He says, "I'm serious. I'm not kidding you right now. Go back to the house and call." So I went back to the house and called them. Sure as heck, they said, "In 3 days, they want you in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, you and Dave Schultz, Ray Schultz, his brother. They want you 2 guys to come to Johnstown and be in the movie." I said, "Okay, no problem." So Ray said, "I'll drive." So he drove us down there, and we were there for 10 days. And it was one of those things, right place at the right time, because originally the movie was scripted with just actors doing the skating scenes, and it wasn't coming out realistically. So Ned said, "Sis, let me get you some hockey players. The season just finished up. I can get these guys. I'm sure they'll want to be in the movie." And that's how a lot of us got in the movie, because a lot of the players that were on all these other teams in the movie, they all played on the different teams in the North American Hockey League. And the other thing that I want to bring out is Paul Newman, probably one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. You'd think, big star like this, he want nothing to do with us. We had one hotel, he was at the Sheraton. We go into the Sheraton at night to have a couple cocktails. As soon as we walked into the hotel, into the lounge, he'd wave us over. "Come on over, guys." Either his wife, Joanne Woodward, his stepdaughter was there. "Join us." We'd sit around and talk about hockey stories for hours. Just a real nice guy, and loved his course beer. Always had a little U-Haul truck in the back with stacks of course beer in it. But a great guy, a lot of fun, good guy to meet. I can honestly say there were no jerks. Yeah, you got to figure there's going to be somebody that's an asshole. Everybody was great. Everybody that was associated with the movie was just great. They'd have the roach coach there in the morning at 6 o'clock, grab a couple egg and cheese sandwiches, get into the locker room, suit up, go to your makeup for an hour. If you're going to be in a fight that day, they put the stitches, they put the blood on you, and you'd sit in your uniform and skates till 6, 7 o'clock at night until they got done shooting. So get a little tiring just sitting in the locker room. So we ended up getting a couple containers, liners, ice them up, throw the beer in, and sit in the locker room, play some cards and drink some beer. So half the time we were on the ice, we had a good little buzz going.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it was good times. It was good times. And it's the kind of thing when you were doing it, you never thought much about it. And being like you didn't think much about it. I never even brought a camera because you didn't have cell phones back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have our cell phones. I didn't even think to bring a camera. You got any pictures? I says, none that I took. I didn't bring a camera. So people would send you clips here and there that they took, but you don't think about that stuff. You just say, we're going down here to have a good time. And we did. We had fun.
So the character you played, Andre Lucier, Poodle, First of all, is there a backstory behind the name?
If there was, I never got it. I never got the story why it was Andre Lucia Poodle. I think when we used to play up in St. George de Beauce against the Jarls, for whatever reason, somebody started calling me Poodle up there. I don't know if they got it from that. But other than that, I don't know how that name came about. People always ask me, and they say, well, how did that story ever come about? How did you get, suspended from the league and, sent to Northern Quebec and this and that? I really don't know. I really don't know. But it's quite a story.
I was gonna say it's all elaborate story, and I guess it makes sense that it is all just made up because it is a movie.
Oh, and they don't give you the background stuff. The thing is, people say, well, do you have your original jersey? Do you have your gloves, your this, your that? I says, no, they were strict with everything. Once you got done with your part, they had a clipboard and they signed you up. Okay, jersey, yep. Pants, yep. Socks, yep. You had to check everything off that you turned it all back in. The other thing they made you sign off on right from the get-go, no residuals. And the Hanson brothers, they didn't even get any residuals. Very few people were getting residuals on that movie after it was said and done. So it is what it is, but we still had fun. And it's a memory that will never go away.
You're doing pretty well with it nowadays too, though, making lots of appearances. I've seen you at the Springfield Hockey Heritage Society, stuff like that. How fun is it to kind of reprise that role as Poodle, and people see it and they know who you are, and they know that's the guy who's in Slapshot. When you go to these,
matter of fact, we got a golf tournament coming up for the Springfield Hockey Heritage Society on the 10th of June over at Oak Ridge, and we've been doing that for the last 2 years now. And as soon as you get there, people will be shouting out lines from the movie to you. They know the lines better than I do in the movie. They memorize them. They say, I watch that movie every once in a while when I get bored, and I still enjoy it and laugh. And you go to these little fundraisers that we do too, and they'll have us sign autographs, and I'll say, Paul D'Amato, he'll go a lot Dr. Hook with me, and we'll look at each other and we'll say, look at these kids. These kids weren't even born when this movie came out. That's how it's become a cult movie, pretty much like an Animal House and Caddyshack and those kind of things. But people say, Mark, we never go on any kind of a hockey trip without bringing the DVD Slapshot. It's just synopsis of a hockey trip. You take it with you no matter what.
We at least once a season with AIC hockey, I travel with them, and
yeah,
that's always one that finds its way into the DVD player on those trips out to like Western Pennsylvania or to Buffalo or to you almost have to, and it's true. I mean, the movie came out, if I'm doing my math right, 12 years before I was born, and
it came out in 1977.
Yeah, so 12 years before I was born, and it's one of my favorites. So right up there with Miracle and all movies like that. So
my hero in the movie was Mo. He was awesome, and he had probably some of the best lines in the whole movie. And the best part about the movie is you don't have to pick it up right from the beginning. You can put it in there anywhere throughout the DVD and just laugh because it's that funny. It's that funny. And I'll say it again. A lot of that stuff that they showed in the movie really went on in the minor leagues. Exaggeration to a little bit, to a point, but a lot of it happened. And some guys won't admit to it, but I will. It did happen.
Now, you finish your pro career and you come back to the Springfield area. You spent a lot of time coaching youth hockey, high school hockey. What did it mean to you to have that opportunity to give back, to pay it forward, and to help educate the next generation of hockey players?
Well, my growing up, I had some good mentors. I started out in the Van Horn organization, which was up in Hungry Hill. That's the first youth hockey program that actually got going. I was actually 9 years old when that started. And a funny story, just to go back with that. I was out with my dad. We were doing errands one day, And I said, "Where are we going, Dad?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. We're going to be going home shortly." Well, he had asked me a couple of days earlier if I wanted to play hockey, and I skated on the ponds, but never anything organized because they didn't have anything organized until that year we were out and about. And sure as heck, he drives me into the Van Horn field where there's a field house for signups for hockey. I says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Come on, you know all these guys," because I played baseball with them. And we signed up for hockey with the Van Horn Aces. And lo and behold, skated with the Van Horn Aces over at the Coliseum, thanks to Teddy Shore, allowing the ice to be divvied up amongst the youth hockey programs, and had a blast. We played a lot of preliminary games before the Springfield Indians, so we got to see the Springfield Indians up close. That's how we got to know Wally Barlow. And from there, I'm losing my train of thought what I was going to tell you. But the Van Horn Aces was the start of youth hockey in the area. In every little pocket had about probably 6 teams that we played against. And we had a fantastic team. We had a bunch of kids that were just athletes. And that was one of the things that we played baseball, we played soccer, we played hockey. So we were just all around good athletes. And that's how I had some of the best times with the guys that were good. Some were probably better than me at the time. I will remember one time when we said, "Okay, we're going to have a skills competition." And I was the fastest kid around the rink. Actually, I beat the guy's name was O'Malley, Mike O'Malley. And I was pretty proud of that. But we had some great mentors, great coaches, what really led us down the right paths. A lot of times, rather than, "Okay, get on the ice, play around," no, they were pretty structured and pretty disciplined. Did a lot of traveling as a youth hockey player. And again, I can't say enough about Teddy Shore for helping us getting ice time over at the Coliseum.
And so with that in mind, when you went back to coaching yourself, that was what you approached it like.
That's how I looked at it from the coaching and the people that led me along the way. The other thing was that I had 3 boys that were coming up, and they were playing hockey, they were playing baseball, they were playing soccer. So I felt that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be at the rink anyways. I might as well get involved. And the more I kept looking at it and seeing how it was being run, I says, yeah, I definitely got to get involved. It needs some direction. So I coached for 10 years and was president of the organization for the Wilbraham Twin Metals, which was very rewarding. Met some great people, made some long-lasting friends, parents as well as players, and coached a little bit in baseball. I didn't spend too much time coaching baseball because it was a little bit difficult work. But yeah, and then I coached the high school, and the reason with that is they needed a little direction with the high school team. So I figured, well, okay, Mark, step in and get it going in the right direction. And we did. My oldest son was helping me coach at that time. 2 of my sons were playing. So it was a regular family affair. But we had a lot of fun. We got a lot of great memories. Wasn't always easy coaching your own kids, but we got through.
That was going to be the next question. What was it like? How special is it? And then kind of what's maybe the biggest challenge of coaching your own kids?
Well, the biggest challenge is them realizing that I'm the coach, not their dad. That's the hardest part. Sometimes they didn't quite understand that, and I had to break up a couple pushing matches between 2 of them now and then because they knew how to push each other's buttons and get under each other's skin. But all in all, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it the same way.
Fast forwarding to the here and now, and hockey in Springfield, the amount of success that's happening is incredible. Obviously, AIC, your alma mater, 4 straight conference championships, NCAA tournament appearances, a Division I hockey program that's sending players to the Olympics and to pro hockey. And then the AHL team, as we're recording this right now, getting ready for the Eastern Conference Final in the American Hockey League. What does it mean to you, having grown up here, having spent a lot of time here playing the sport, to see the hockey teams in Springfield, your alma mater, but also the pro team, doing so fantastically?
Well, you just want to stick your chest out and be proud for the program that they put together. Eric over at AIC has done a hell of a job recruiting these European kids that probably no one ever looked at before, and giving them a chance, and they're really playing quite well. I know any alumni that I talk with are so happy now that the AIC team is on the map again. You got your UMass team that's doing very well, just like AIC. So that's a feather in our cap for this area. And like you said, the Thunderbirds are back on track again. Hopefully they can get a Calder Cup this year, and we can all celebrate. And now you've got a baseball team over in Holyoke that you're affiliated with. So I remember the old days. You probably don't remember the old Pinchin Park days, where they had a double, I think it was AA. They were affiliated with the San Francisco Giants. Go down there and watch them play quite often. That was a great experience as a kid. But the area right now is sports wise is really buzzing, which is in a positive way, which is a great thing for the area, because we've missed it for so long.
Yeah, it's certainly been incredible to see the success. Actually, as it happens, and I'm actually kind of crack a little bit of a laugh here. I've got my baseball team. We had a game this morning.
The Spitfires.
The Starfires. We won.
Starfires. Okay, I'm sorry.
Co-owned by Donnie Morehouse, an AIC hockey alum, no less. So the connections are all there. It's really amazing how those things just keep coming back, like you said. So, and that leads perfectly into the last question I want to ask you, which is the one I've asked every inductee so far as the last question. What was it like getting that phone call saying, "Hey, you're going into the AIC Hall of Fame"?
Well, naturally, I had to kind of step back and not say anything for a few seconds to just kind of digest it. But as far as Jess, when she did say it again, she goes, "Well, do you want to accept this inductee?" I said, "Most definitely." I said, "I feel honored and privileged to be associated with that group of athletes that you've nominated for the last, I don't know how many years, but it makes me feel proud that you invited me in." So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
You were pretty awesome in an AIC uniform, and everything before and after. It's deserved, as every inductee I've talked to has had the same reaction about it, and speaks volumes to the type of people that we have had and continue to have here at AIC. Mark, I want to thank you for doing this. It's been awesome getting to know you even more. I know we've interacted before, but this is something that's well deserved. I'm really glad it's happening for you.
Thank you. I just want to interject one more thing here. People don't realize, and this is one thing I always taught my kids, whether it was youth hockey, whether it was high school hockey, when you put that jersey on, you put that jersey on with so much pride that you want to respect it, and you want to deliver yourself in the same way, with pride and honor, and respect the game. And that's one lesson that I'd like to teach my kids all the time. And now I do that with my grandkids. It's not about that. And everybody says it's not about the name on the back. It's about the crest on the front.
Well, that AIC logo on the front is always been special, and people like you are the thing that makes it special. So Mark, congratulations. Thank you for the advice, and thank you for your time here today.
Thank you, Seth. Pleasure chatting with, as usual, and hopefully get down and see you at one of the baseball games.
Looking forward to that for sure. Keep your eyes peeled. We got plenty more this summertime. We've got a lot of inductees into our Hall of Fame. We'll be interviewing all of them on the Yellow Jacket Experience.